Hey everybody, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about building a 1.2 meter wing. So please hit the like button and subscribe. When we get up to 1,000 subscribers, we're going to start doing subscriber giveaways. So this is the 1.2 meter SoarKraft wing. It has a 6mm carbon spar. And this particular build is a 2-servo wing. There's one servo for each aileron flap side. This wing should mate to any of the SoarKraft fuselages. You can build the fuse separate, makes it a little bit easier to manage. As well as making thickness and tolerance changes for Cura, the airfoil was updated with a thinner trailing edge and even stiffer leading edge D-box design. In the instructions, there's now a table that has all the information about which parts need to be printed, print time, and printed weight. In the appendix are all the settings for Cura, for PLA and PETG, as well as Simplify for PLA and PETG. Once in Cura, parts should come in as they should be printed. The trailing edge should be to the back of the printer. Once you slice the part, you can make sure that it's sliced correctly. And then you can check in the right hand corner as to print time and print weight, and make corrections to the settings in Cura so that they match the specified suggested weight and print time. So print your parts with the Z-seam in the back and the orientation of the airfoil this way, such that the trailing edge will have the Z-seam and make it easy to clean up. Or if you're ready to remove the part, heat the print bed to 60 to 70 degrees, a little rubbing alcohol. Comes right off. Print out all your pieces. There is a list in the instructions. Here's a diagram of how the wing goes together. So with each part, you need to trim off the brim and clean up any other flash with a simple flat file across the back. These are PLA parts. The PLA tends to print nicely and accurately. Nice lightweight parts. There are some. See the bead, the Z seam bead on here. You can make it as perfect as you want. I just taking the bulk of the bump out. Alright, so I have this nice round file, which is a file for chainsaw sharpening. And there's a link in the description below as to where to get one. They're very inexpensive, very useful tool. There's the there you go. Carbon. Right, make sure it goes in the rod slot. Okay, this part is ready to go, and I'll move on to the other ones. So once they're all cleaned up, and you know, like before I do the hinges, I usually like to paint the parts. They're just easier to paint when they're separated. You can put tape on them, and they're easy to manipulate. So next I'm going to do the hinges. Get them, each and every wing panel set up so that you can have the hinge, and then I will do a silicone cover on this PLA hinge to make it more robust. Servo check before I put them in, just to make sure the servos aren't going to fail out of the box. Piece of carbon that's going to go for my aileron stiffener. I use it as my way to feed my wire through. Right now that everything's trimmed, it's time to start gluing things together. You've test fit everything so you know it all goes together the way you want it. If you haven't test fitted it, now's the time to do it. Do it before you get the glue out. Otherwise, you may glue something together you don't want to. We're going to start with the center pieces. These are have the bolt holes to hold it to the fuselage. We're going to line them with the marks that we put on our 1 meter long carbon at the center point. And we're just going to butt them together. No gap here. That's good. We're going to look down the length of the carbon and make sure that it is aligned so that from end to end, tip to tip, the carbon is straight between both spars. This will make it so that the wing is straight. Get this right, and the rest of it is easy. to glue myself to it. I'll check to make sure it's straight. Totally have a problem and something doesn't work right. You can always print new pieces. You can cut these off, save the carbon, and print new pieces. Alright, we're going to let this dry before we put the rest of the pieces on because we don't want it to move. So let it dry, we'll come back. Alright, now that the center section is dry, we want to check for a bead of CA that is on the inner edge there. You definitely want to either taper into the hole here, which is what I'm going to do, or clean it off with the file or X-Acto knife. If you don't, then when you're putting it together, you end up with a gap. Very annoying. It takes a little bit of cleanup. They pop together. Oh, nice. We got to the point now where I just put a tiny little bit glue on the carbon, and then I push it together. Make sure the leading edge is aligned best possible. Add mini drops CA. You can see it wicking down the length. This keeps the carbon from moving around, which gives it some torsional strength to the wing. You can hold it up to the light, and you can see how far down it is. Right now, you're just going to secure the end of it. Yay on it. There we go. Check, make sure the leading edge is aligned. So I'm going to secure the whole aileron. I'm going to work it back and forth, get the carbon to sit where it wants to. Doing the seams. Try not to glue your clips on because you can. So now I'm going to move the aileron so I can see right here the CA wicking. Same thing on the other end. Alright, let's do the other side. Alright, so wing is mostly glued together. And now is the time to easily do the silicone hinges. I'm going to do that in a separate video, so please refer to that video for more details on silicone hinges. It's basically a bead of silicone on both sides. The silicone just keeps it all together. Okay, now that you got the wing built and the hinges on, before we can finish the servos, we need to put it on a fuselage. So if you don't have a fuselage, now's the time to build one. If you have a fuselage, now's the time to get it. Alright, so we have our fuselage with our radio, battery. So I like to mark the wing left and right. This is the left side, and this is the right side. When I'm hooking it up, you can also put indications on the servo leads. I do that on the radio where 2 dots is left and 1 dot is right, so I can connect it up to the receiver quick and easy. Especially helpful if you're running flaps or something, because lots of wires involved. Then you're ready to get out your transmitter and plug in your radio. Double Z-bend connections for the ailerons. 50 millimeters long. What I do? That's pretty good. And as long as they're both the same length, then your servo movements will match. There you go. Should be the same length. Yep. Right, so you need to install the servo horn on the push rod before you install it onto the servo. Once you get the control horn where you want it, don't forget to put the screw on. I'm going to clip the surface into the neutral position. This is setting the servo. Started using hot melt to put the servos in. It's just easier to get off. And put a dab of hot melt in each corner. Tack it in place. So, test fit. These are a little bit lower profile in version 2. And the knob out on the servo cover holds it to the servo cover. And you finish it with a couple screws. Last thing you needed to do was check the CG by basically putting my fingers underneath both sides of the wing and checking the balance point and then marking that point. Wing diagram, there's an indication how far back from the leading edge the center of gravity should be for that particular wing and that particular airfoil. So I needed to add a little bit of weight. And it's balanced out. Alright, so this guy's ready to go fly. Let's go try it out and see how it does. Our Rough Gen version 2 I just finished. Ready to fly. Throw it out. Alright, maiden flight, here we go. It's flying nice. Alright, let's get this out of here without wrecking it. Sweet.